Well, very good evening on the 29th day of June 26. It's 6:30, Andy, isn't it? It is. Spot on. Well done, you. Yes, June comes to an end almost. Well, tomorrow's the last day of June. 30 days has September, April, June and November. All the rest of 31, except February, which is 28, apart from the leap year, which is 29. Yes, I was taught that when I was about 6-year-old, and I remembered it the first time. Instead of teaching you that sort of stuff, they maybe should have taught you about transitional polymers or something. You know, when you're about 5 or 6-year-old, discuss atomic theory or the likes. Mind you, I had a lot of debate with my chemistry master when I was taking chemistry. And he said I was being flippant. I said, I'm not. I says, I don't see the point in this whole thing if it's called atomic theory. If it's just a theory, then what's the point of teaching us? It's only a theory. It's not been scientifically proven. In fact, it's the whole thing about science. Science is trying to find the answers. That's the whole point of it. It's not conclusive. It's a way of breaking down every element of it and trying to establish if it's fact or fiction. Science fiction. Yes. Yeah, I got my O grade in chemistry. I was talking about this in my other load. I've not loaded it yet, but I was talking about that. No, not really. You were not, Andy. You just said there was a part of the story about it. Why don't you load that first? No, I might load this first. All right. We'll load this first then. And what will you do with the other one? Well, I'll come back to that one. And when was that from? Last week. Probably the 23rd of June. Goodness, the time does fly, doesn't it, really, when you think about it? I was sitting here one day talking about how close we were coming to the summer solstice, and it's passed already. And 3 days of, fantastic summery weather we had in June and 3 days in May. I calculated we've had about a week of pleasant weather. And this nonsense about they were reporting about the unusual aspect of how hot it was that the gritters came out to put sand in the roads to stop the tar from melting. Well, I can assure you, back in the 1960s as a child, on hot sunny days in the summertime, that's one of my early memories, is sitting on the pavement next to the, on the curb next to the Condi, and with a lollipop stick and tunneling the melted tar and getting tar all over my hair and on my face, and where the ice lolly had been munched in tar, well, I'd sort of bits of raspberry all around my mouth, and then I end up with bits of tar. Most children looked that way when I think about it. Most children, well, certainly, I think they probably still do, but children don't eat ice cream like adults. They tend to stick it right into the face. And they always have ice cream right round the nose and round the chin and right round the lips. It's just another observation. But I wanted to make a comment about the tar melting. That was one of the big signs that summer was a baking hot day. And no one was, he didn't even have, what do you call it, sunblock or any types of, it was when that bloody Amber Solaire came on the market, that's when everybody started bloody going crazy and smothering themselves, looking like a greasy chip. And, I mean, all these different factors. I mean, I dare say there'll be some people in the bathroom cabinet that maybe open it up. Well, it's not quite as hot as it was yesterday, so let's not go for factor 20, let's go for factor 8. Well, will that be enough? I'll tell you what, make it the factor 16. You know, what a damn waste of money. I mean, you just as well opening a tin of sardines and taking out some of the oil from the sardine dish and spitting that in your face. I mean, you might attract a few more flies and stink like, but it does the same job, doesn't it? The hills up there look very tempting again, Andy, don't they? They most certainly do. But I'm taking a couple of rest days after quite a lot last week, and the weather was quite poor at the weekends. And again, there's no reports about that on the BBC or the Met Office about how normal the conditions are. But it's a time of year. I mean, I don't know. It's not even into July yet, and I think people's ideas of summer have been sort of warped a little bit with television and possibly reading too many romantic novels. You know, I'm quite sure that. I mean, for myself, when I lived through the Edwardian era, I mean, summertime was a very grand occasion. Of course it was. And there's many a year that I wanted to go to the Henley Regatta. I did. I wanted to go to Henley Regatta. I've been thinking about this since probably the late 1980s, early 90s, I think. And I wanted to go and, well, I don't have any friends from Eton or Winchester College, nothing like that, but I just wanted to go down to the regatta and wear a boater and a striped jacket and, drink Pimm's or something and eat sandwiches from a wicker basket. There's nothing wrong with that, I don't think. I mean, I suppose it's a sort of delusionary behaviour, but I would suggest that it's one segment of living, i.e. living your life to the full, trying everything at once. But I have to say that I've never had any sort of keen interest in going to show jumping or horse racing or people who go to, I think it was a Sheffield Crucible, if my mind serves me correctly, and bought tickets to sit bloody for hours at a time watching bloody snooker going. I mean, how bloody boring and mind-rotting that must have been. Sitting there, you couldn't even take a breath, couldn't cough or sneeze. Awful. Hours and hours and hours. But again, I suppose that it might be one of those things where somebody's gone to the Sheffield Crucible and or the Crucible in Sheffield and watched the snooker and still talk about it with friends. Do you remember that match that we went to with those two snooker players? Oh yes, I remember. Yes, wasn't that fantastic? It was. 6 hours we sat there. It was down for the piss. Yes. So there's not much doing up in Amulree tonight, but I had to sort of depart from the environment. I don't know why I live where I do, because I hate it. It seems to be like, I don't know, some sort of problem with atmospheric pressure in my village. I don't know if it's because it's at the bottom of a hill, but there's something very peculiar about the atmosphere where I stay. It's crushing. And I've noticed it for a long time, and especially between 5 o'clock and, well, from 4 o'clock actually till about 6 or 7 o'clock, there's like a concentration of the ions, and the pressure is terrible. I might have to speak to somebody in the scientific community and ask them what the hell's going on. I might even approach the Met Office. I mean, they didn't answer about my chemtrails recently, but I might approach them and ask if they've got any explanation why my village would feel under more pressure than it would just a few hundred yards from it. Yeah, there's a lot of things I notice and obviously feel. I mean, this is the Mercury retrograde beginning today. And I'm not joking, I've woke up a completely different individual from what I was yesterday. The whole thing has gone haywire in my mind and body. I've got 3 weeks of this. I'm managing to communicate not quite so bad today, but give it a week and it'll all be over. It will take at least until the end of July before I start returning to some sort of normality with my, my articulation and how clear and, I am with my spoken phrases, my vocabulary. But it's just been one of the strangest years of all, 26. I think it's something to do with the numbers in it as well. We just passed that date, the 26th to 6/26. It was 2/20/26 in the same date. Well, 666 at least. 26, 20. Yeah. 20th of June, 2026 was another one. No, I never got a Blue Peter badge, Andy. No. I'm not even sure what you're meant to do to get one. I watched a little bit Blue Peter as I was young, but I didn't really take to that program, not very, very much. I thought it was pathetic. I thought it was very cheesy and not entirely middle class, but it was just something that, I don't know, something not quite right about the whole program. I just felt that they're always trying to make things that, and they always assumed that the people, the viewers at home, the children, would have all these items available in the house. I also think about people who acquired the position as a school prefect. I never got my head round how that happened. I can't remember any sort of submissions for becoming a prefect. I don't remember anyone approaching me and saying, "Would you like to be a prefect?" No. And how did they how did they come to the conclusion that, or the decision that the particular prefects that were chosen were the best for the job, and why we didn't need them in the first place? I think it's rather sad, actually, when you think about it, Andy, that some of those individuals in high school, sort of authoritarian position at that young age, it must have went to their head, and in all probability, most of them have probably ended up as sergeant majors or bloody, chief constables or something. I just never thought about the importance of it. That sort of ego trip that they must have been on, having discussions with friends. I'm a prefect. I'm a prefect. It's a sort of, what do you call it? What's that word, Danny? Palindrome. For perfect. Yeah, palindrome, I think it's called. I can't remember. Fuck. So people all think, why do you sit and stare at this? Because I find it much more entertaining than television or YouTube. There's nothing on it. There's nothing happening in life. Do you notice that? There's absolutely nothing going on for anybody, and anything that is taking your interest is deflection, and it's all cultivated to, at least I think, to make you not think properly. If you involve yourself in a movie for a couple of hours and you're on edge about that, then for 2 hours of your life you're not thinking about other things, like transitional polymers, for example. Polymers in the transitional state. But you sort of sitting and you're watching even the news, for example. If you sat and watched the bloody news, which I've never watched since it's 2014 now. It's probably December 2014 since I last watched the news. Maybe January 2015. I think I finally had enough and switched it off, and that was the end of it. No television since. If you're sitting and watching that, and then obviously you're not thinking about. Well, let me put it another way. If you didn't have the news on, you could be sitting there thinking about something quite positive in life, like perhaps cleaning out the fridge, or reading some Milton or Shelley. Yes, reciting some Shelley. Even the works of Robert Burns, for example, would be for every time you sat in your arse watching the bloody news, getting depressed, you could have been reciting a little bit more of Burns's work. I didn't realise the importance of Robert Burns when I was young. Although my grandfather was an avid fan of Burns. I got a couple of books from my grandmother, and I have to say they're very, very decent, well-written pieces of work. It's very difficult to remember and understand every point that Burns was trying to make. It's a bit like myself, and when you're talking to this camera, what the fuck is he talking about? Well, Robert Burns was a sort of early pioneer in talking in riddles, but he had it cut to a T. And I remember the girl at school. I felt sorry for her because she was a sort of thespian, not a lesbian, a thespian, and she done a little bit of amateur dramatics at high school. But she was also very good at reciting Robert Burns, and as such, she was invited onto the school stage to do a little bit on Burns Night, or Burns Day, when we celebrated that. Although cancel culture SNP probably do not have any children learning Burns in the education system now. I wouldn't have thought so, at least. Well, the teachers wouldn't know, they're too thick to know what Burns is about. But this girl was sort of, a lot of people, because she had short hair, which was very uncommon back in that time. I mean, that's why a lot of girls that wore short hair, they were considered to be lesbians, but as I say, correct, she wasn't a lesbian, she was a thespian. And, but a lot of people call her Jan the Man. Which I thought was unfair, because she certainly didn't look. She was very attractive, actually. She was very attractive facial features, and she had quite an athletic body for a thespian. But when the poor girl got onto the stage, she decided stupidly to recite Burns's "A Man's a Man for All That." I remember this as clear as hell. And if you know the poem, it's, as it's been recited, "A man's a man for all that, and all that, and all that." Well, every time she said that, the whole lot of us shouted, well, everybody in the bloody auditorium shouted, "Jan's a man for all that." Instead of, well, you get it, don't you? And I don't think she recovered from that episode. I also remember one time, why am I talking about all this stuff? All this is stuff that comes into my mind when I'm sitting staring at this is what I mean about not watching the news. If you sat and stared, all the stuff would come to your mind. And preferably if you can stare at something in nature. Even if it's just a blade of grass for an hour. But I remember very much, there was a German sort of touring group playing traditional German instruments and music and stuff, and they arrived at the high school, and they couldn't have come in a worse year of 1978. Probably was, I think, one of the craziest years of my life growing up was 1978. It seemed to be changing at a terrible rate, of terrible pace. And anyway, I remember this occasion in the high school assembly hall, and all the years were gathered, the sort of seniors, third years and fourth years and stuff like that. And anyway, it started off all right, this bloody German lot, and we were sort of invited to clap along, put your hands together and clap. But instead of that, we all started doing that bloody Sieg Heil Sieg. and stamping of the feet. And one of the guys had a swastika, um, and it was raised, not the flags, well, it was an armband with swastika. And of course that was raised, and they were absolutely in tears. I can remember this so clearly, actually, Andy. The bloody girls from this, there was guys and women, well, male and female, put it that way. But some of the German girls were in absolute tears. They'd never experienced anything like it. Welcome to Crieff High School. It was a fucking riot, and it got shut down early, and we all got chased out. The whole place was doing it. It wasn't just a group, it was the whole bloody girls as well. Sieg Heil, Sieg Heil. Hail Hitler, that was just fucking mental. Of course, a lot of that was influenced by the punk era, just when it reached its peak in 1978. And yeah, there was a lot of Nazi slogans slung around in the punk movement. And skinheads. There was a lot of skinheads at that time as well. And wearing the black jackets, like bloody donkey jackets, but the skinheads. There was a lot of different types of people growing up and together, and with all their own identities. Well, singularly they had their own identity, but they were all in different groups. And I don't know, I seem to get on with everybody. I seem to be get on great with the mad bastards as well as the clever people and the sort of shy ones. I don't know. Just the skyline's looking very pale, isn't it? Very dark. Anyway, another story from Andy's life. Yeah, we best leave it there, sir. Well, I thought it was interesting, Andy, to talk about these sort of things. Yeah, well, I mean, these are some things that could be collaborated with lots of people from my age group, of course, because so many people would remember such events and chuckle away at the thought it all happened in real time, in our time.